Around 700,000 people in the UK are on the autism spectrum. Autism is a lifelong developmental disability that affects how a person communicates with and relates to other people, and how they experience the world around them. Autistic people say that the world often feels overwhelming, and this can cause them considerable anxiety. In particular, understanding and relating to other people and taking part in everyday family and social life can be hard if you're autistic. Autistic people often do not look disabled. Parents of autistic children often say that other people simply think their child is naughty or odd, while adults find that they are often misunderstood. The characteristics of autism may vary from one person to another, but in order for a diagnosis to be made, a person will be seen to be experiencing difficulties in three main areas. These are difficulty with social communications, difficulty with social interaction, and restricted and repetitive behaviours and interests. Autism is different for everyone, but it is common for people with autism to also have learning disabilities or sensory sensitivity. Autistic people may experience some form of sensory sensitivity. This can occur in one or more of the five senses: sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste. A person's senses are either intensified or undersensitive. It is important for you to know about this if you are supporting people with autism, because it can really influence actions, responses, and behaviours. For example, an autistic person may find certain background sounds, which other people can ignore or block out, unbearably loud or distracting. This can cause considerable anxieties, challenging behaviours, or even physical pain. People who are hyposensitive may not feel pain or extremes of temperatures. Some may rock, spin, or flap their arms to stimulate sensation, to help with balance and posture, or deal with stress. People with sensory sensitivity may also find it harder to use their body awareness system. This system tells us where our bodies are, so for those with reduced body awareness, it can be harder to navigate rooms, avoiding obstructions, or stand at an appropriate distance from another person, and carry out fine motor skills, such as tying a shoelace. This video aims to show you, the viewer, how a person with sensory sensitivity views the world, what a sensory breakdown feels like, and how we can make small changes to help our clients with sensory impairments. I have chosen three very common scenarios to show you. Firstly is a sense of taste. This clip shows you a person who is oversensitive to taste.
Hey Dan, I've got your lunch. I've got you some nice spicy chips and some crisps as well if you're still hungry. I come home at lunchtime to make you dinner and you don't want anything. I'm not making you anything else, it's that or you can starve. Fine.
Some autistic people may limit themselves to bland foods, such as mashed potato or ice cream. On the other hand, they may crave very strong spicy foods, or even non-edible items such as stones, metals, or feces. Individuals may come across as fussy eaters because they refuse to eat a variety of foods. This can be especially difficult with young children, as parents may be unaware if their child is experiencing sensory sensitivity, or what is called a fussy eater.
Next, I will show you an example of someone who is sensitive to sound.
Is there anything you want to do this weekend? hear me? You're alright. You're ignoring me, aren't you? Why do I bother?
This clip shows a person's inability to cut out sounds. Other people experience sounds in a different way. They may hear sounds in just one ear, or might not be able to acknowledge particular sounds. On the other hand, they may enjoy crowded, noisy places, banging doors and screaming so they can hear the loud, high-pitched noises.
Finally, I will show you an example of someone oversensitive to light.
The next stop will be platform number. Welcome to this first Trans-Pennine Express service to Manchester, Victoria.
This is an example of distorted vision. The person's eyes cannot focus, and the bright lights appear to jump around. It can look so bright that it can hurt the person's eyes. This can be especially difficult when someone is trying to go to sleep because they can see the smallest amount of light, such as a standby light on a TV. On the other hand, a person who is undersensitive to light may see objects as quite dark or lose some of their features. People may also have problems with depth perception, so they cannot throw and catch effectively.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not naughty. I'm autistic.
This short clip is from a video made by the National Autistic Society showing what a sensory breakdown looks like in the community.
A person who struggles to deal with everyday sensory information can experience a sensory overload or information overload. Sensory overload happens when there is too much information coming in at once, and this is overwhelming for the individual. It can be really difficult to cope with. The brain might not be able to filter out anything that's irrelevant, such as background noise, wallpaper, or the feel of clothes on your skin. This means they have to try and process everything at once, rather than just what seems relevant at the time. It is described as having no sieve in your brain to help select the relevant information. People deal with sensory overload differently. People may display sudden outbursts or distressing self-injury behaviour. Some may tire very easily, others may be physically sick. It is better to prevent a sensory overload than it is to deal with the outcome. So let's go back to the first example and see how we could change things slightly to make it easier and reduce the chances of a sensory breakdown. There you go, Dan, I've got your lunch for you. Get some mashed potato. Would you like some gravy on it as well? I've got you some nice ice cream for pudding as well. Got some plain ice cream. As long as someone has some dietary variety and are getting the nutrition they need, a limited diet isn't necessarily a problem. Bear in mind that there are simple things that you can do to make foods more suitable. For example, shredding or blending food rather than cutting it up into hard pieces. Adding gravy to food or sauces, or even having food separate on a plate can make a huge difference.
Now let's go back to sound.
CJ, can you just mute it for a sec or pause it? Cheers. Hi. So, what would you like to do this weekend? See, now I've got an extra day off because it's the bank holiday.
This shows some simple ways to block out unwanted noise. Closing a window, pausing the TV. If you're out in public, it is slightly different. People may want to have headphones on with music playing, or have earplugs in. These are all effective ways of helping someone who is oversensitive to sound. On the other hand, if someone is undersensitive to sound, visual supports can help a person stay focused and understand what they are doing.
And finally, sight.
The next stop will be platform north. Welcome to this first Transpennine Express service to Manchester, Victoria.
The best way to help a person who is sensitive to light is to change the environment around them, including providing sunglasses or using blackout curtains to help people sleep, covering lights with black tape, or using draft excluders to block light from coming under a door. Other senses to be considered are smell and touch. If someone is oversensitive to smell, things such as perfumes and air fresheners can be overpowering. It is better to use unscented shampoos and air fresheners. A person who is oversensitive to touch may feel uncomfortable when wearing clothes or during any physical contact, such as holding hands. On the other hand, a person who is undersensitive may have a high pain threshold or self-harm. Things to help include weighted blankets or items of different textures, such as sand or cornflour. By making ourselves aware of these sensory impairments, we can make slight changes to our own behaviours to improve the relationships between clients and carers. If everyone works collaboratively, we can reduce the chance of somebody experiencing a sensory breakdown, thus making our clients' day-to-day lives easier. This video aimed to show you how an individual with sensory impairments views the world and what we can do to help. More information is available on this topic from the National Autistic Society website. Thank you for watching.